GamingBolt presents 14 most controversial DRM practices that stunned gamers. Digital rights management is nothing new in today's gaming market, and it can range from software that prevents disk copying to online authentication for ensuring you indeed have a legitimate copy. DRM will always remain a sticky subject, but some companies take it a little too far at times. Let's look at the 14 most controversial DRM practices that left gamers stunned throughout history. Some have thankfully been softened or removed completely, so keep that in mind. Games for Windows Live and Grand Theft Auto 4. Forget for a moment that Grand Theft Auto 4 for PC used Secure ROM to prevent piracy, which required one-time internet authentication. The game was also protected by Games for Windows Live, which had enough complexity to its install process while also restricting mods. Of course, it was necessary for online play, but it didn't take long to be hated. STARFORCE. Secure ROM has always been one of the most hated DRM practices in gaming, but STARFORCE was a whole other level of insanity. Not only did it install a device driver that disabled SCSI devices like image mounting software, but it was also capable of crashing your computer and possibly damaging your optical drive. Not only did STARFORCE not apologize for how its DRM worked, but it actually threatened to press charges against critics of the same. STARFORCE was used in Ubisoft games like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory and Heroes of Might and Magic 5 before eventually being replaced by Secure ROM. BioShock and Secure ROM. First off, what in the world was Irrational Games thinking? Granted, it was probably more 2K games than anything else, but this special version of Secure ROM was just the worst. Basically, if you bought BioShock for PC, you had to deal with this DRM nonsense and were only allowed 2 installations over the game's lifetime. Just 2 installations. Mass Effect's 10-day revalidation. It's bad enough that BioWare decided to include Secure ROM with Mass Effect, never mind the fact that the DRM was already garnering plenty of controversy. However, the developer also added a revalidation mechanism which required you to be online every 10 days. BioWare did get rid of the revalidation, but it took even more time before Secure ROM was completely removed. Nintendo Wii Speak's voice code. When purchasing Nintendo's Wii Speak, consumers received a special code to download the Wii Speak channel. The problem? You could only use this code once. So if you bought the device used, you were out of luck. If you lost the code or replaced your Wii console, tough. While codes were eventually reissued, those who bought it used weren't as fortunate. Rainbow Six Vegas 2, DRM and pirating fixes. Is there anything more hilarious than DRM which prevents fans from playing your game? In the case of Rainbow Six Vegas 2, it was an update which brought new content, but also required a disk check, which was impossible for digital owners. To top it off, Ubisoft issued a fix that was actually an executable created by software pirates to bypass this issue. Though it was removed later and an investigation initiated, it's still hilarious as hell. Sonic Mania and Denuvo. Denuvo strikes again, and this time it was with Sega's beloved Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic Mania actually launched to critical acclaim on the Xbox One and PS4, but was delayed for 2 weeks on the PC. Once released, it was found to have Denuvo, along with a requirement for being online. Sega noted that this was a bug and quickly remedied it, so consumers could play offline. But to say the whole ordeal left a bad taste, especially as many speculated that the delay was simply to add Denuvo, is an understatement. Starflight's Code Wheel. If you think today's DRM checks are annoying, then clearly you weren't around in the old days when EA's Starflight used a code wheel to authenticate your game. Not entering the correct code in 2 tries would result in the Interstellar police showing up after a few days to give one more chance. Screw that up and it's bye-bye to your ship. We still can't get over the fact that EA actually used a security access code wheel, of all things, to authenticate the game. SimCity DRM controversy. Several players coalescing together, creating cities in a digital utopia. Sounds neat and all, but for SimCity 2013, it was a nightmare. Along with microtransactions and always online requirements, SimCity faced server issues at launch, preventing most people from even playing the game. It would be one thing if EA wanted to promote more community-focused gameplay, but there were plenty of single-player fans who couldn't enjoy it at launch either. EA's Online Pass. Electronic Arts' Online Pass was used in games like Battlefield 3 and Madden NFL. A code was needed to activate it and play online, but said code could only be used once. Playing on another console or buying a used game? A new code was needed, and of course, it wasn't free. Fortunately, EA did away with this after most gamers realized how downright despicable it was. Assassin's Creed 2. When Ubisoft delayed Assassin's Creed 2 for PC, it came up with a horrible new DRM to prevent piracy. Though basically an always online requirement, it was susceptible to server issues that could wipe out a fair bit of progress if you suddenly disconnected. The fact that Ubisoft posted a loss of $54 million in the same period probably was not a coincidence. Xbox One almost going always online. Before it launched, the Xbox One had an amazingly stupid always online mechanism. That wasn't the thing that annoyed us the most, though. There was the whole convoluted deal about restrictions on used games, digital game trading, and so on that just came across as, well, terrible. Naturally, Microsoft did a complete 180 on all of this, but it did a lot to damage the Xbox One before its launch. BIONIC Commando REARMED 2. Having to deal with DRM on PC is bad enough, but imagine console titles, especially single-player games, having the same problem. And these aren't games that would have shared world mechanics and whatnot. BIONIC Commando REARMED 2 on the PS3 required online authentication through PSN every time you booted the game up. Wanted to play offline, or PSN goes down for almost a month, like in 2011 during the infamous outage? Well, don't be ridiculous. RIME and Denuvo. Yes, RIME is another case of Denuvo being used, but amazingly enough, developer Tequila Works promised to remove it if the DRM had been cracked. Lo and behold, once cracked, Denuvo was removed from RIME. So what's the problem? According to some players, not only did the game load faster, but there was reduced stuttering. It's purely anecdotal, but this seems to come down to the implementation of Denuvo rather than the actual DRM causing issues. Denuvo and Tequila both denied the DRM causing performance issues, so take that how you will. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.